You're not allowed near children anymore. My ex-wife destroyed my reputation at my son's school with a forged sex offender registry M36. Never thought I'd be writing this, but I need to get this out somewhere because the last 48 hours have fundamentally altered my understanding of human cruelty. I'm a warehouse supervisor for an auto parts distribution chain. Nothing glamorous. I work 60-hour weeks, come home tired, help my 10-year-old son Silas with homework, and try to be the stable parent he needs after the divorce. That's been my life for the past 2 years since Mara and I split. The divorce was ugly. Not violent, but the kind of ugly where every small decision becomes a power struggle. Who gets Christmas Eve? Whether Silas can have a phone. Normal custody battle stuff. Mara hated losing. She'd grown up as the golden child in her family, and the idea that a court didn't side with her completely ate at her in ways I didn't fully understand until yesterday. Tuesday afternoon, I'd taken a half-day off to help Silas set up his science fair project at school. He'd built this elaborate volcano demonstration with LED lights that simulated different eruption patterns. Kid was proud as hell. I was standing in the gym with other parents, watching him arrange his display board, when I got paged to the principal's office over the loudspeaker. The walk down that hallway felt wrong immediately. You know that sensation when your body knows something before your brain catches up? My stomach was doing flips. I opened the door to the conference room and saw Principal Hayes, the school counselor, and Vance, the security officer who's also a retired cop. All three of them had this expression I'd never seen directed at me before. Disgust mixed with fear. "Mr. Mercer," Hayes said, not standing, "we need to discuss a very serious allegation." She slid a document across the table. It was a printout from what looked like the state sex offender registry. There was a photo that vaguely resembled me, wrong eye color, different hairline, but similar build. The name read, Colt A. Mercer. Birth year off by 3 years. Conviction date from 2019, a year when I was working 70-hour weeks and had dozens of people who could verify my whereabouts. "This is not me," I said. "Your ex-wife submitted this to us this morning," the counselor said. Her voice was cold, clinical, along with notarized documentation expressing concern for student safety. The room tilted. "She what?" Vance leaned forward. "Sir, we're required to take allegations like this seriously. Do you understand the gravity of what we're looking at?" I understood that my hands were shaking. I understood that somewhere in this building, my son was setting up a science project while his father was being treated like a predator. "Run my ID," I said. "Right now. Pull my actual background check. I had one done 6 months ago for a promotion." Hayes looked uncomfortable. "We will absolutely verify this information, but until we do, we cannot allow you on school property. This is for the safety of all students." "My son is here," I said. My voice cracked. "Silas is waiting for me in the gym." "We've called your ex-wife to pick him up," the counselor said. The pieces clicked together then. This wasn't about safety. This was about control. Mara had weaponized the one accusation that couldn't be ignored, that would trigger an immediate response, that would humiliate me in the most public way possible. "She forged this," I said. My throat felt like sandpaper. "She photoshopped a sex offender registry page. You're telling me she brought you a document that strips me of my rights as a father, and you didn't verify it first?" "We're verifying it now," Vance said. "But our hands are tied until—" "Your hands were tied the moment you called me down here instead of checking if this was real," I said. "Where is she?" "Your ex-wife left after filing the complaint," Hayes said. "Mr. Mercer, I understand you're upset. You have no idea what I am right now." They escorted me out through the staff entrance, not the main doors where parents were gathered. The back way, like I was already guilty. I sat in my truck in the parking lot and ran the search myself on my phone. The real Colt A. Mercer was 3 years older than me, lived in a different county, had a completely different face. The photo Mara had used was some stock image she'd found online and edited to make the hair color closer to mine. She'd gambled on the fact that schools don't have time to verify everything, that the mere accusation would be enough to keep me away from Silas long enough for her to do whatever she was planning next. My phone buzzed. Text from a number I didn't recognize. "You think you won the divorce. Watch what happens when everyone knows what you really are." I called my lawyer. He didn't pick up. I called Mara, straight to voicemail. 20 minutes later, Silas came out with his backpack, face red from crying. Mara was holding his hand, talking to him in a low voice I couldn't hear from where I was parked. She saw me and smiled. Not a warm smile. The kind of smile you give someone when you've just checkmated them and they haven't realized it yet. She loaded Silas into her car and drove off. My son didn't even look at me. I spent the rest of the day getting emergency documentation together. Clean background check from my employer. Copy of my driver's license. A sworn affidavit from my lawyer's office that I'd never been charged with anything beyond a speeding ticket in 2018. By the time I got home, there were 3 missed calls from my boss and a message from my sister asking if the rumor was true. Mara had posted something. I didn't know what yet, but the infection had already started spreading. I'm writing this from my kitchen table at 2 a.m. Can't sleep. Keep thinking about Silas's face when they pulled him out of that gym. Keep thinking about how Mara looked at me in that parking lot. I don't know what her endgame is, but I know I'm not fighting fair anymore. Reddit, I need advice. How do you prove you're not a monster when someone who knows exactly how to hurt you has decided to burn your life down? Update 1. Wednesday morning, I met with him and brought every piece of documentation I had. By noon, the school had officially cleared me after running my information through the state database. Principal Hayes called personally to apologize, said they were required to take all allegations seriously, which is administrator speak for, "We fucked up but won't admit liability." I asked if Mara faced any consequences for filing a false report. Long pause. "We're reviewing the incident," Hayes said. Translation: they banned her from campus but didn't want to tell me directly. Small victory. Felt hollow. Because while I was getting cleared, Mara was executing phase 2. She'd posted my photo to 3 local Facebook groups, our neighborhood page, a community safety group, and a parents' network. Not the fake registry page, just my photo with a caption. Warning: this man has been banned from multiple schools in our area. Please be vigilant if you see him near playgrounds or school zones. Vague enough to avoid direct slander. Specific enough to plant the seed. By Thursday morning, I had messages from 2 coworkers asking if I was okay, and one from a guy I play basketball with on weekends saying he needed to take a break from the league for a while. I went to work Wednesday and found my truck in the parking lot. Someone had spray-painted "Monster" across the driver's side door in red paint. Security footage showed a hooded figure around 3 a.m. Couldn't identify them. I filed a police report. The officer taking my statement kept giving me this look, like he wasn't sure whether to believe me or not. The damage had already been done. "Any idea who might have done this?" he asked. "My ex-wife is trying to destroy my reputation," I said. He wrote something in his notebook. "Has she made direct threats?" "She doesn't have to. She just has to plant the idea and let other people do the work." Thursday afternoon, my boss called me into his office. There'd been a complaint. A woman claiming to be a former victim had called the company's HR hotline saying she recognized my name from old court records and felt unsafe knowing I was in a supervisory position. Complete fabrication. But HR has protocols. They put me on paid administrative leave pending an investigation. "This is insane," I said. "You've known me for 8 years." "I know," my boss said. He looked genuinely upset. "But my hands are tied until legal clears this." I asked for the caller's information. HR wouldn't share it due to confidentiality. Convenient. I called Mara that night. She picked up on the 3rd ring. "What do you want, Colt?" "I want to understand what you're trying to accomplish." "I'm protecting our son." "From what? A father who's never hurt him?" "You filed a false police document, Mara. Do you understand that's a crime?" She laughed. Actually laughed. "Prove it was false. Prove I made it. I was just being a concerned mother passing along information I'd found." "You're coaching people to call my work. You're spreading lies online." "I'm sharing my concerns with my community. That's my right." "Your right ends where it destroys my livelihood." "Then maybe you should have thought about that before you tried to take Silas from me in the divorce." There it was, the truth. This wasn't about safety or Silas. This was about winning. About making me pay for the custody arrangement that gave me equal time instead of making her the primary parent. I'm not dropping this, I said. Neither am I. She hung up. Friday I picked Silas up from school, first time seeing him since Tuesday. He was quiet in the car. Wouldn't look at me. Your mom told you things, didn't she? I asked. He nodded. Do you believe them? Long pause. I don't know what to believe anymore. We drove in silence. When we got to my place, he went straight to his room. I sat on the couch and stared at the wall. Saturday morning, I woke up to find my personal phone number posted on Nextdoor with a warning about a registered offender living in the neighborhood. Someone had used my actual address. I started getting calls. Anonymous numbers breathing heavily, hanging up. One text. We know where you sleep. I called the police again. Different officer this time. She took the report but couldn't do much without direct threats or identifiable harassers. Have you considered a restraining order against your ex-wife? She asked. Based on what evidence? She's smart enough not to leave fingerprints. Sunday evening, I finally lost it. Mara texted asking to talk about Silas's well-being. I drove to her place. Big mistake. She was waiting on the porch. Calm, collected. She'd expected me to snap. You need to stop this, I said. Stop what? The posts. The calls to my work. All of it. I don't know what you're talking about. Mara, I swear to God. Are you threatening me, Colt? Because I'm recording this conversation right now. She held up her phone. I saw the red recording dot. I'd walked right into it. She was trying to provoke a reaction she could use as evidence of aggression. I got back in my truck and left. Hands shaking the entire drive home. That night I got a message from my sister. Mara had reached out to my family on Facebook, sharing concerns about my recent behavior and erratic actions toward her. My own mother called asking if I was okay, if I needed help. The doubt in her voice gutted me more than anything Mara had done directly. This is where I'm at now. Cleared by the school but suspended from work. Banned from online community groups. Questioning looks from neighbors. My son confused and distant. Mara hasn't broken any laws directly enough to charge her. She's just planted seeds and let the mob water them. I'm meeting with my lawyer again tomorrow. He's talking about building a defamation case, but that takes months, maybe years. In the meantime, my life is burning down in real time. To everyone who said document everything, I am. I have screenshots, recordings of the threatening calls, police reports, witness statements. I'm building the case, but documentation doesn't stop the whispers. Doesn't stop my coworkers from avoiding eye contact. Doesn't stop my son from looking at me like I'm a stranger. I don't know what Mara's next move is, but I know she's not done. Update 2. Monday I was reinstated at work. The victim who called HR never followed up with actual documentation, and legal concluded it was a hoax. My boss apologized, said my record was clean, but I could see in his eyes that the damage was done. People at work still whisper. Tuesday morning I got a call from Silas's school. He'd told his teacher he was worried about living with Dad, and the counselor wanted to schedule a meeting. I knew immediately Mara had been coaching him. The meeting was brutal. Silas sat there repeating phrases that sounded nothing like him. I don't feel safe. Dad gets angry a lot. Mom says I might need to go away for a while to be protected. That last one made the counselor's eyebrows raise. Go away where, Silas? He shrugged. Mom said maybe we'd take a trip. Just us. After the meeting, I pulled the counselor aside. She's planning to run with him. That's a serious accusation, Mr. Mercer. So was accusing me of being a sex offender, but she did that too. I called my lawyer immediately. He filed an emergency motion to modify custody, citing parental alienation and flight risk. Hearing was set for the following week. Wednesday night was my custody night. Silas came over with his backpack, still distant. We ordered pizza. Barely talked. I tried asking about school, about his science fair project that never got properly displayed because of Mara's stunt. He gave one-word answers. After he went to bed, I was cleaning up and noticed his backpack was heavier than usual. I opened it. I know, privacy issues, but something felt wrong. Inside, buried under his textbooks, was a small digital voice recorder, the kind you can get at any office supply store. It was on. Recording. My blood went cold. I took it to my room and played back what it had captured. Hours of nothing. Then voices. Mara's voice, crystal clear, from what sounded like her car 2 days earlier. "Remember what I told you, baby. When you're at Dad's house, I need you to say you don't feel safe. Can you do that for Mommy?" Silas's voice, small. "But I do feel safe with Dad." "I know you think that. But Dad's been acting strange lately. You've seen how upset he gets. What if he does something scary?" "He doesn't do scary things. Not yet. But I need to protect you before he does. That's why we might need to take a special trip. Just you and me. Would you like that? We could go see the mountains. Stay in a cabin. What about school? We'll figure that out. The important thing is keeping you safe from Dad. You understand, right? This is our secret. Don't tell Dad about the trip." Pause. "Okay. Good boy. Now when the counselor asks you questions tomorrow, remember what we practiced." The recording continued. More hours of ambient noise. Then, from that evening, Mara on the phone with someone. "No, the hearing is next week. I need to be gone before then. If the judge denies my modification request, he'll restrict my custody. I can't let that happen." Male voice I didn't recognize. "You're talking about crossing state lines with a kid during a custody dispute. That's kidnapping. It's protecting my son. There's a difference. I have family in Montana. They'll help me get settled." "Mara, this is insane. What's insane is letting that man have access to my child after what he did." "What did he do?" "You've never actually told me specifics. That's not the point. The point is I'm his mother and I know what's best." The call ended. I sat on my bed, recorder in my shaking hands, understanding the full scope of what I was holding. Mara hadn't just planted this to record me saying something incriminating. She'd forgotten it was there, or assumed Silas would never let me find it. Either way, she'd recorded her own confession to parental alienation, coaching a minor to lie to authorities, and planning interstate kidnapping. Thursday morning, I took the recorder straight to my lawyer. He listened to the relevant portions 3 times. "This changes everything," he said. "This is evidence of parental alienation, conspiracy to violate custody orders, and potential kidnapping. We need to file emergency custody modification immediately and get law enforcement involved." By Thursday afternoon, we were in front of a family court judge with the recording. Mara's lawyer hadn't even been notified. That's how fast we moved. The judge listened to the recordings with no expression. When it finished, he asked if this device belonged to my son. "It was in his backpack, Your Honor. I discovered it during my custody time." "And you're alleging Ms. Quinn placed it there?" "I'm alleging she placed it there to record conversations at my home, and inadvertently recorded herself coaching our son to lie and planning to flee the state." The judge looked at Mara's emergency counsel. "I'm issuing a temporary order. Ms. Quinn's custody is suspended pending investigation. Mr. Mercer will have full physical custody. Ms. Quinn will have supervised visitation only, and she is prohibited from removing the child from the state." Mara wasn't there. They'd tried to contact her, but she didn't show. The judge issued a bench warrant when she couldn't be located for the emergency hearing. Friday morning, police found Mara at a gas station 3 hours north, heading toward the Montana border. Silas was in the car with her, 2 suitcases in the trunk, one-way tickets to Kalispell on her phone. She was arrested. Silas was released to me. When I picked him up from the station, he was crying. Not because of the arrest, because Mara had told him they were going on a special adventure, and now it was ruined, and it was somehow his fault. "It's not your fault," I told him in the car. "None of this is your fault. Mom said you were dangerous." "I know. Are you?" I pulled over, looked at my son, really looked at him, 10 years old and caught in the middle of his mother's psychological warfare. "No, buddy, I'm not dangerous. I'm just a dad who loves you and wants you safe. Your mom is sick right now. She's done some things that aren't okay, but that doesn't mean she doesn't love you. She's made bad choices." He nodded. Didn't say anything else. This weekend has been quiet. Silas is staying with me full-time now. Mara is out on bail with a court order to stay 500 feet away from both of us. She's facing charges for custodial interference, child endangerment, and falsifying documents. Her family has finally seen the evidence. Her sister called me yesterday and apologized, said they had no idea how far Mara had gone, that they never would have supported her if they'd known. Too little, too late, but I appreciated it. I'm not vindictive by nature, but I'm also not going to pretend Mara deserves forgiveness for this. She weaponized our son. She tried to make me into a monster in my own community. She was willing to destroy my career, my reputation, and my relationship with Silas just to avoid sharing custody. The school formally apologized and offered Silas counseling. I accepted. He needs it. My job is secure again, though I'm looking at transferring to a different location. Fresh start. Silas asks about his mom sometimes. I tell him she's getting help. I don't know if that's true, but it's what he needs to hear right now. To everyone who told me to document everything and stay calm, you were right. If I'd gone to her house and done something stupid, she would have won. Instead, she defeated herself. The recording device that was supposed to be her weapon became her confession. I'm not celebrating. There's nothing to celebrate when your son's mother is facing criminal charges. But I'm breathing easier than I have in months. And Silas is safe. That's all that matters. Final update. I'm writing this final update because people have reached out asking how things turned out, and because I think there's value in showing how these situations actually resolve, not with dramatic courtroom speeches or tearful reconciliations, but with bureaucracy, therapy sessions, and the slow rebuilding of a child's sense of safety. Mara took a plea deal. The prosecutor offered it because they didn't want to drag Silas through a trial where he'd have to testify. She pled guilty to custodial interference and filing false reports. The sex offender registry forgery charge was dropped as part of the deal. 18 months probation. 200 hours community service. Mandatory psychological evaluation and anger management. Complete loss of unsupervised custody until Silas turns 18. She'll never have our son alone again. That was the part that mattered to me. The custody hearing 2 weeks ago was the first time I'd seen her since the arrest. She looked smaller somehow. Hair pulled back, no makeup, wearing a plain sweater instead of her usual carefully curated appearance. Her lawyer had clearly told her to look humble and remorseful. We sat on opposite sides of the courtroom, didn't make eye contact. The judge reviewed the supervision terms for her visits. 2 hours weekly at a family counseling center, supervised by a court-appointed monitor. No discussion of the case or me in Silas's presence. Mara's lawyer argued for expanded visitation, said she'd completed her psychological evaluation, was attending therapy, was committed to rebuilding her relationship with her son in a healthy way. My lawyer presented evidence from Silas's therapist. Not the content of their sessions, that's protected, but a general assessment that Silas was still processing trauma from the parental alienation and needed stability right now. The judge denied the expansion, said we'd revisit in 6 months. After the hearing, I stepped outside and Mara was there, waiting on the courthouse steps, against the terms of her restraining order, but technically I hadn't entered my car yet, so the distance was legal. "Colt," she said. I stopped, didn't turn around. "I just want to say I'm sorry." I turned then, looked at her. This woman who'd tried to destroy me, who'd weaponized the one thing I loved most in the world, who'd been willing to burn everything down rather than admit she lost. "You're sorry," I repeated. "I was wrong, about all of it. I see that now." "What do you see, Mara?" She blinked. "That I hurt you. That I hurt Silas. That I let my anger make me into someone I'm not." "No," I said. "You let your anger show who you really were. There's a difference." Her face crumpled. "I was desperate. The divorce, losing custody time, feeling like I was losing my son. You didn't lose him. You shared him. Like adults do. Like we agreed to do. It didn't feel like sharing. It felt like losing. So you decided to make me lose everything instead." She didn't have an answer for that. "Do you know what Silas asked me last week?" I said. "He asked if I hated his mom. 10 years old, and he's asking if his father hates his mother because he can't reconcile what you did with the person he remembers." "What did you tell him?" "I told him I was angry at the choices you made. That what you did was wrong. But that I didn't hate you because that would just hurt him more. Thank you for that. I didn't do it for you. I did it for him. Everything I've done in the last 3 months has been for him. You don't get credit for me protecting our son from the damage you caused. Mara's lawyer appeared, touched her elbow. We need to go. She nodded, looked at me one more time. I know I can't fix this, but I want you to know I'm trying to be better. Then be better for Silas, not for me. I don't need anything from you anymore. She left. I stood there on the courthouse steps feeling something I hadn't expected. Nothing. Not anger, not vindication, not even satisfaction, just the absence of the fear and anxiety that had dominated my life since that day at the science fair. Silas is doing better. Still in therapy. Still has nightmares sometimes. But he's laughing again. Brought home a B+ on a history test last week, and was genuinely proud. Asked if he could join the robotics club at school. Small things, normal things, the kind of things that felt impossible 3 months ago. I've started dating again. Nothing serious. A woman I met at the gym who knows my situation and isn't scared off by it. We get coffee sometimes. She makes me laugh. That's enough for now. Work transferred me to a different facility like I requested. New boss, new team, nobody who knew about the accusations. Fresh start. I still get the occasional weird look in the neighborhood. The internet never fully forgets. But most people have moved on to the next drama. Life has a way of continuing whether you're ready or not. Last week, Silas asked if we could go to the Science Museum. They have this exhibit on volcanoes. Reminded him of his science fair project that never got properly displayed. We spent 3 hours there. He showed me every exhibit, explained the geological processes, talked about wanting to study earth science when he's older. On the drive home, he said, "Dad, I'm glad I live with you." That's the moment I'll remember from all this. Not the courthouse steps, not Mara's arrest, not even the vindication of being proven right. Just my son, in the passenger seat, telling me he feels safe. For the guys going through something similar, and I've gotten a lot of DMs from men in comparable situations, here's what I learned. Document everything. Not because you want revenge, but because the truth is your only defense when someone decides to weaponize the system against you. Stay calm even when you want to lose it. Especially when you want to lose it. The moment you snap is the moment they win. Your kids are watching how you handle this. They'll remember whether you protected them or used them as weapons. Get therapy. For yourself and your kids. This kind of psychological warfare leaves scars you don't even realize you have until years later. And understand that winning doesn't always look like what you think it will. I didn't get a tearful apology. I didn't get Mara admitting she was wrong in any meaningful way. I didn't get my reputation fully restored. I got my son safe. I got myself free. That's enough. To everyone who reached out, shared their stories, offered support, thank you. This community kept me sane when I wasn't sure I'd make it through. I'm closing this chapter now. Moving forward. Building the life Silas deserves with the father he needs me to be. And if Mara ever decides to try something like this again, which I doubt, given the criminal record and probation terms, I'll be ready. Because I know now what I'm capable of protecting.